So all said and done, this is what the finished product looks like. We got 3 taps, as you can see. Alright, so let's get right into part 4. We're going to put this thing together. I am putting preconditioner on. If you're not familiar with preconditioner, it goes on before stain to soak up into the wood so that the stain does not overreact to the wood and leaves in blotchy marks and stuff on the wood. So I'm just going to go over all these pieces with the stain conditioner. I like to start on the inside parts of the project. You can see there's just 2 pieces to it. One's the top frame that goes around the top, and then the big case, which I left the back open obviously just to slide the freezer in and out of. Plus it was going to go up against the wall, so there was no reason to have anything on the back. You'll see later on I end up just putting a couple little metal brackets to connect the freezer to the back top ends there, because they were flopping around a little bit. But I'll show you that later on. So anyways, I just go over this with some stain conditioner, and I did this in the basement, and then I did the stain also in the basement shop with the fan on. And I like to just rub everything on with a rag. You can do it with a brush or with a foam brush. I find it easier. This I wasn't doing the inside of this whole frame here, so I could easily hold it and just do it. So it made it a lot easier. So just a couple light coats of stain. I just used a basic, I think it's special walnut or something like that. We just wanted it to look fairly light to medium, and it's just pine plywood pieces, and regular pine boards. So we just gave it a nice little coating. You can see, just to brown it up a little bit, get in all the inside edges, and you know, it's a little time consuming, but it needs to be done to give it some good color. This is where I'm really happy I put it all on rolling wheels too, because I was able to put it right up on my workbench here and just spin it around. So then I moved it outside, set up a nice little table stand out here, and now I'm just going to take some, it's called wipe on poly, so it's like a thinned out polyurethane. So you have to do a few more coats, but it's easier to put on because you can just wipe it on. It's a lot thinner, not as sticky as, like, say, the regular strength polyurethane. So here I just nice casually just putting on a couple nice light coats with a rag again. I like to just soak the rag right in with polyurethane, and then you can just go through and put a bunch of light coats on. Make sure you get in all the nooks and crannies on the inside. I didn't get too crazy on the inside, more or less just put a couple, I think 1 or 2 light coats on the inside. And then I brought everything back downstairs, and this is the top, so I slide this in, I got it upside down, and then I just had to pound it in. It was a nice tight fit, which is what I was looking for anyways. This is all Craig screwed, if you can see it. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting a bunch of clamps on here, one side at a time, so I can make sure it stays nice and level with the top and the side. So you have to clamp it down in several places to make sure it stays nice and level. Hardest part with the Craig jig, which I talked about before, is getting this stuff to stay nice and level and even when you're screwing stuff together, because the screws like to pull things back and forth and up and down. So here I'm just taking extra precaution to put a bunch of clamps down, and then I had to get some little blocks that I had, extra pieces of wood, just to make sure the clamps would fit, and put this top down real nice and flush with the side piece. I probably could have left it a little bit higher, it would have been better, just because of the way it works out. But this all worked out in the long run. It's a little more time consuming. I mean, that's why you have lots of clamps in the shop, right? And so you have something like that, because you want to make sure you get it nice and level. So now I'm just screwed in with the Craig screws, one at a time. So I did that side, and then you'll see here I'm going to unclamp it. I'm going to flip it around to the other side and do the same thing. I'm just going to clamp it back down, use those blocks, and just make sure everything gets nice and screwed down. So I did the 2 sides here, the 2 longer sides, then I did the shorter sides, and then the top was all good to go. Make sure you got nothing underneath you when you're doing this, because I vinyled that top. If I had, you'll see me once in a while, I'll clean off that little, it's my little clamping table there, just to make sure nothing scratches the top, because that can easily happen. But the Craig jig is the way to go, because then you don't have to see any screws, you don't have to do any nailing. It's all done from the inside, just like I did the whole frame of the cart and everything. So it makes it definitely more convenient, and it's a fairly reasonable product. Even the new one that just came out is real nice. So now I got everything upstairs. I put the freezer in, just slid it in through the back and pushed it all the way forward, and then I put the top on. Now I'm just going to clamp the top to the freezer, and I'm going to put a clamp in each corner, and then what I'm going to do is I got some screws that are just longer than the actual top of the freezer. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill because I want to make sure I know exactly where I'm going. So here I'm just pre-drilling through into the top. And that way when I get the screws out, I know they'll go right in. And the clamps hold it so that the screw doesn't push the top up when you're trying to screw it in. So it definitely makes it a little bit easier. But here I'm just going to put one screw in each corner. Like I said, they're nice long extra, I think they're exterior screws, so they got, you know, because it's going to might see some colder temperatures and humidity with the freezer. So it just made it easier. Make sure it's done right, you know. So 4 screws. Like I said, they're just a little bit longer, but not long enough to go through the top with the vinyl and everything. So I'll unclamp it, put that back down. You see it's nice and sturdy, all set up. Gives just a little gap. I think I ended up with about a 1/2 inch gap all the way around. So now I'm going to spin it around. Now I didn't film the actual hooking up of all the electronics on the back, but I'll talk about it later. Here I'm just putting brackets on, like I said earlier, just 2 little metal brackets. I showed them there. Just one in each corner just to hold it in place with some little short screws. That way it's not moving around to keep it nice and level on the sides. But you'll see the controllers are just, it was literally just a 3 outlet surge protector that I could plug in a smart switch for the fan. And then I plugged the fan into that. That way I can control when the fan comes on. It just connects to Wi-Fi. And then the temperature sensor, which just screws on, there's a temperature probe that goes through the back here into the inside. And that's what tells the temperature sensor what's temperature inside. Here I'm just sliding in the hoses and putting the tower on. You'll see it just slides right in through the holes. Just got to give it a little tender love to push it down in and wiggle it a little bit. And there you go. That's the top. And then set the drip tray in there. You see the hoses come through and everything's good to go. So all said and done, this is what the finished product looks like. We got 3 taps. I'll open it up for you. This is what the inside looks like with all the taps in it, if you can see it. Got the connecting block, everything's running, it's nice and cold in here. I got the fan all hooked up. Got the CO2 all hooked up. And I'll show you around the back. So here's the controller. It's got all the temperature on it, and then here's the plug over here for the rest of the stuff. So I got one surge protector plugging in, and then everything plugs into the surge protector, including the thermostat. And then the thermostat, this is where the freezer plugs into the thermostat. So that's what turns the freezer on and off, like I said. So that's all hooked up, and that'll tuck away right to the wall, right up to here, so you can tuck it away. But you still have to have room, so you got to pull it out to get this cover open. You can see how far this leans back, so that's why we have to pull it out. That's why we put it on wheels too, so it works out good that way. So let me grab a glass, I'll show you how this pours out. Oh, he's got Stella on tap right now. And that's how it works. Perfect, nice pour glass. So anyways, that's all there is to it. Came out real nice. Like I said, the fan circulates through here, keeps it nice and cool in there. And we got our little drip tray here that we can clean out if we need to. So if you like this, definitely click on the like button. Show me some support. I'll leave a link below for some of the websites I used for all the parts if you want it, if you're interested in buying some of this stuff and making your own. But yeah, it came out real nice. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We got some more projects coming up before the winter hits. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.